We got breaking news in HQ, of course, in the NFL, where we have another twist in what's been one of the wildest off seasons in league history. The Chiefs have given wide receiver Tyreek Hill permission to seek a trade as contract talks have hit a stalemate there. Our Jason Lockenford confirming that news. Dolphins and Jets are serious contenders for the six-time Pro Bowler. Hill entering that final year in that three-year contract, by the way, which includes a 2020 cap hit of over $20 million this season. Taking a look at it, when you talk about the Cheetah, he's been a weapon there for Patrick Mahomes and that offense, and Andy Reid running his way into that championship run also in the postseason for KC the past few years. Now it seems like there might be a problem, and the Cheetah might be leaving KC. For more of this news, senior NFL writer Jonathan Jones checking in. And JJ, this is something new. Maybe this had to do with Davante Adams heading over to Vegas. What is your reaction to this breaking news here?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And this is what I reported here when Juju Smith-Schuster signed his deal and let folks know that there was trouble with extension talks between Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs. And it really came after the Davante Adams deal, after he got traded from Green Bay to the Las Vegas Raiders, and he got a deal that averages the most for an annual salary, eclipsing the DeAndre Hopkins deal of $27.5 million. He got above that at 28. And so, you know, where Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs were reportedly close on an extension, Brandon, you mentioned at the end of a three-year, $54 million deal, this extension was thought to be over $20 million in average annual salary. But then Davante Adams gets 28, and it's like, well, hold on now. I'm pretty good. You guys need me. I want more money. And so that's where contract talks stalled for the Kansas City Chiefs. And now, of course, Tyreek Hill and his representation looking elsewhere. Jets and Dolphins could be potential landing spots for him. But this has been brewing for the last several days, and the Chiefs have been preparing for it. Certainly the first signal of that was the signing of Juju Smith-Schuster last week.
Yeah, exactly. Juju Smith-Schuster, of course, coming over from the Steelers, as you mentioned there. If we're looking at the two options there in the Jets, you know, how might this be a piece for a young Zach Wilson, that team trying to trend towards the AFC? Any thoughts about what maybe Tyreek Hill might look with that offense a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, they already have Corey Davis. They have Elijah Moore. They got Braxton Berrios. They just signed C.J. Uzomah, tight end, and we know that he can clear things out underneath and let guys get up the field. And then you have Zach Wilson, a bit of a gunslinger. And if you have a wide receiver in Tyreek Hill who's just going to outrun everyone, he can take and sort of mitigate some of the accuracy issues. You want to throw the football down the field, throw it up and throw it to the only place and the only guy who can go get it, and that's just deep down the field because he's going to burn you. Or defenses are going to have to play you differently so that they aren't burned deep. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to open up the middle of the field a little bit more. Things are going to be easier for young Zach Wilson, and my goodness, he needs things to be easier for him, as evidenced by this past season in his rookie year. He really took his lumps, and it wasn't all him. A lot of it has to do with how Joe Douglas constructed that team, and now that they have some legitimate pass catchers who are really growing and molding into their own. They have a legitimate tight end. If Tyreek Hill adds to that, that's another step for the Jets. I'm not going to sit here and act like they're in the playoff contention by any stretch of the imagination, but it would really, really help out Zach Wilson and this offense by securing Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill still just 28 years old, and there's a reason why we still call him the Cheetah and maybe the fastest guy in the league. Real quickly on the Dolphins, how that might look as well before we get back to Casey here.
Yeah, that's a little bit more of an interesting one because they have Jalen Waddle, who's already really, really fast, and now you get Tyreek Hill. But let's not forget, they just signed Cedric Wilson Jr., who was a free agent after his time with the Cowboys. So they just brought him on. They just franchise tagged Mike Gesicki. And so you do wonder how much of the ball is to go around where you have sort of a glut of pass catchers. Now, that's a good problem to have, of course, but you have Tua Tagovailoa, who doesn't really throw the football down the field a whole lot. We see his numbers right there. You really dig into the advanced stats, and this is not a guy who, when you're talking about attempts of 20-plus air yards, is crushing it, right? He's not Russell Wilson. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Aaron Rodgers throwing the football down the field. So, that would add a new element to a Miami Dolphins offense that we haven't seen. Of course, there will be plenty of new elements with their new head coach, Mike McDaniel, who's sure to have a little bit more of a horizontal passing game, more of a stretch run game. They just signed Teron Armstead, so maybe Tua Tagovailoa will have a little bit more time to sit back there in the pocket and let things develop down the field for a guy like Tyreek Hill. So listen, you add Tyreek Hill to your team will be instantly better. There is no question about it. What is it going to cost you? It's going to cost you at least a first-round pick, maybe 2. I mean, when you look at what Devontae Adams just got dealt to the Vegas Raiders for, a 1 and a 2, now you're talking about Tyreek Hill. I could see 2 1s, perhaps. So it's going to at least be a 1 and 2, and Kansas City, of course, would certainly take that.
When you talk about Hill, he's a big part of KC's offense. He had over 111 receptions this year, a franchise record, over 1,200 yards, and then 9 touchdowns. I mean, he's definitely not a slouch. We already know that. But if you're looking at Patrick Mahomes, if he's not there next year, how does that impact him in that offense if we're thinking about Kansas City, getting back to contending for a championship next year?
Well, obviously you're going to miss that speed, and you can't replace that speed, right? There's no one else in the NFL who has that speed, that ability after the catch like Tyreek Hill. He is one of one. But they have Juju Smith-Schuster. There's a report out there that they have Marquez Valdez-Scantling coming into the building. You always have the draft. And with the compensation that you would get from a Tyreek Hill trade, you got plenty of cracks at getting a wide receiver. Let's not forget, of course, they have one of the best tight ends, not just doing it today, but doing it ever, in Travis Kelce. And so I know that folks are going to look at this and say, wow, the rest of the AFC West has caught up to the Chiefs, and now the Chiefs are taking a step back. I think that's a fair way to look at it right now, right? If you have your blinders on and you're in a vacuum, absolutely. The Chiefs team is not a better football team without Tyreek Hill than with it. I would just say, all right, let's see what Brett Veach, the general manager, what Andy Reid, what they do with the trade compensation that they get back for Tyreek Hill. Let's see how free agency continues to play out for these Chiefs. And also, let's trust the best young quarterback to ever do it, Patrick Mahomes, maybe with some of these new pieces. We can all talk about what the Chiefs look like on paper. We can talk about the Chargers and what they added to the defense, and the Raiders, and obviously the Broncos with Russell Wilson. Games aren't played right now. And so do the Chiefs appear to be taking a step back right now? I got to give you that, absolutely. I would just say I'm going to trust the team, the head coach, the quarterback that has been dominating the AFC West for the last several years.
All right, JJ, I want to put you on the spot here. We got the Jets, we got the Dolphins. Curious where you think they might land, or is there maybe a dark horse in the NFC? You may want to get them out that conference altogether.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have the cap space right now. And so now that we're in the third wave of free agency, you have to be able to fit Tyreek Hill and his eventual contract extension under your cap. There aren't a whole bunch of teams that can do that. I mean, you could think about the Indianapolis Colts as well. They could use a pass catcher like Tyreek Hill. The fact of the matter is that the overwhelming majority of NFL teams could use a pass catcher like Tyreek Hill. And now that the news is out that he has requested this trade, or that he's been granted permission to seek a trade, and everybody knows, okay, it's the Jets and the Dolphins. Well, now other teams can hop in there, and they can call Tyreek Hill's representation, and they can call the Kansas City Chiefs and say, hold on now, before you guys do anything, here's what we can offer. So I think it's sort of wide open, but those two teams very clearly at the front.
All right, we'll see what happens here. Tyreek Hill might be doing a lot of this that we saw on the field to Kansas City with this breaking news here. Jonathan Jones, appreciate your time breaking all that down with Tyreek Hill granted to seek a trade. The Jets and Dolphins, the leaders in the clubhouse here, but when it comes to the Cheetahs since 2018, you saw the numbers. When it comes to the deep ball, he's that guy. Receptions, top 10, receiving yards, 4th in the league, and then also 2nd in receiving touchdowns. By the way, coming off 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns last season. Still very young, 28 years old, might be on the move from the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see how that pans out. Keep it here on HQ. We got more on the other side at Tyreek Hill.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.